Hey, what's up everybody? TJ here. Today I'm joined by Mike Basher, editor for Snowboard Magazine and lifelong snowboarder, has also tested hundreds of boards over the years. And in this video, we're going to be talking about the Arbor A-frame. Let's get into it. All right, so before we jump into how this board felt on the mountain, let's run through the tech real quick. So this is more of a free ride, all mountain kind of board on the Arbor lineup, and it does have a directional design. So you're gonna find a directional outline with a longer nose outside the front contact points, as well as a slight taper. You're gonna find an 8.5mm taper at the 158 that we rode, narrowing the tail just a little bit, as well as a 10mm setback, shifting the insert packs a little bit closer to the tail. All those directional features are gonna work together to help this board out in softer snow conditions. But it is a camber dominant snowboard. So one of my favorite things about the A-frame, as with many Arbor snowboards, is that it runs the camber system. So it's full positive camber, but it runs a parabolic camber profile. So it's a little bit more aggressive between the feet and then kind of tapers off towards the tips a little bit, but maintaining that full positive camber feel with a little bit more energy, more response and power as you'd expect. But they combine that with their uprise fenders. So right at the contact points, the base and edge is beveled up just a little bit. That gives it a much less hooky and more catch-free feel when you're flat base to really give you the best of both worlds. And they also combine that with their Grip Tech side cut. So right underneath your feet, there's added contact points that are gonna help bite down and give you more control in firm, icier conditions. Other than that, you're gonna find a decent bit of carbon built into this snowboard. So there's kind of like two A-frame carbon strips coming from the nose and tail contact points out towards the center of the snowboard to give it more response torsionally, initiating turns, and also just give the board more energy overall. And of course, you're gonna find a sintered base in this snowboard, which is a harder, more durable base material that you wanna make sure you wax regularly to maintain a nice, consistent, fast glide out there. And one of the most unique things about the A-frame, as with a lot of Arbor snowboards as well, but you can clearly see behind me right here, is the power ply top sheet. So Arbor uses a real wood top sheet, and the A-frame features a palisander ply that's going to give the board more energy and smooth the ride out a little bit, acting as a structural layer as well as just looking incredibly beautiful.
Yeah, that was the first thing that caught my attention when we pulled the A-frame out of the box, is just that beautiful satin finish on the top sheet is just so gorgeous. It kind of felt like a crime to mount a pair of bindings on it.
It is such a good looking board, man. You know, I think it is hard to put your mark on something with such a nice finish, but it also kind of adds a nice value. Just like anytime you look at it, it just kind of stokes you out just that much more. So always cool to see that on the Arbors. So we rode this board out at Arapahoe Basin late season and at Mammoth Mountain as well. Mike, how did you feel, like just the overall feel of the board, the flex? What were some standouts for you?
So if the A-frame was a surfboard, it would be kind of custom tailored for a break like Mavericks. This thing is a full-on gun. Yeah, it's aggressive. This board goes fast. That being said though, it's kind of like a Cadillac in a way. It's really stiff, but it still doesn't really beat you up the way that I kind of thought it was going to be. When I hand flexed it in the parking lot, I was like, ooh, this is gonna be a handful. And it actually was pretty smooth and it kind of cruised through everything. It was actually really fun to ride.
I agree, man. Yeah, I think, you know, especially in the conditions we had out there, it was pretty slushy. You know, we rode it through the end of the day, so we got that chopped up snow as well. And it's able to blast through that stuff and stay in control, have a nice confident feel, but also kind of smooth it out like you were saying. It has kind of like almost a built-in suspension kind of feel, giving it that Cadillac kind of feel like you mentioned. And I think, you know, for me, the biggest standout in the overall feel, aside from that, is how powerful this snowboard is. You know, with that true full camber and the stiff flex you're going to find in this thing, even, you know, at the smallest size. I weigh around 155 pounds. I think Mike's got a couple pounds on me, but still plenty of stability, plenty of power. It's not a board that you're going to be able to find the limits of very easily. It's one you can push, you can ride with an aggressive riding style, and it's going to have your back. It's going to stand up to it.
I think it's important to point out too that you and I made notes after riding this board, and the one thing that we wrote verbatim with each other is rides like a gun. And you know, it's long, it's skinny, it loves to go fast, but the carving aspect of it, you just kind of put it on edge and just balance, and it just would just like go. And you could still control it with your feet torsionally. It wasn't too stiff that way, I felt. But you could just put it up on edge and just kind of just let it take you down the mountain. And you just cruise, just like a longboard. It was really cool.
Yeah, I think it's worth noting, you know, when it comes to carving, a couple specs I always like to throw out there, the waist width and side cut. So pretty average waist width at the 158, you're gonna find a 25.4 centimeter waist. So it still has a nice nimble feel to it, gonna have a smooth edge transition. But they combine that with a pretty long side cut. So it actually has a 9.1 meter radius. Technically, it's a tri-radial unblended side cut. That's how they make the grip tech. So in the very center of the snowboard, it's 8.2 and then 9.1 outside in the tips. But overall, gonna have a very long side cut feel to it, throwing you into those mellower turns, feeling very comfortable at high speeds, and just kind of creates that feeling where it is just a comfortable cruise down the mountain, even in steeper conditions, even at higher speeds. It's got a smooth ride to it.
Yeah, I don't like to use the word old guy board to describe things very much, because it kind of has this little tinge of a flavor of just like crusty old dudes who just like don't have it anymore. But this board is kind of like a really cool old guy board, because even if your legs aren't like in prime condition or whatever, the board just irons out all the wrinkles and you just kind of cruise down and it just does a lot of the work for you. That being said though, if you really attack terrain with it, it's there. Like, it is there under your feet every step of the way.
I agree, man. I think for me, the biggest highlight of the A-frame is how confident it feels at high speeds, how it really smooths out the ride, as well as how powerful this snowboard is. It's not a board that you're gonna find the limits of easily. It's pretty much like a no speed limit kind of board where you can just fly down the mountain confidently, and has the power and the stability to really maintain some strong edge hold and keep you in control, really no matter what the mountain throws at you. And it's got the directionality to help you out in some soft snow as well if you did want to take this out on a deeper day. All right, that's gonna be a quick review of the Arbor A-frame. Hope you guys got some value out of this video. Sounds like something you'd be interested in. I'm gonna have this board linked down below this video, as well as a link to the latest issue of Snowboard Mag. So please make sure to go check those out. Drop any questions you have for us down in the comments. And don't forget to leave a like before you go. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. I appreciate all you guys. Thanks for watching today. We'll see you in a new one next time.